Hello everyone, my name is Hector Mendoza. I'm going to show you some small tricks that will help you when you're importing an image to use as an underlay image in Xactimate. So let me show you some tricks on what I do. First of all, you're going to want to scan an image. So I like to use about 200 dpi. You can use whatever you want. The bigger it is, the longer it takes, but I use 200. So here's an image. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'm just going to call it a grayscale image. Okay, so I'm going to save it. Done. Okay, so on that image, this image right here, I'm going to open up in Adobe Photoshop. Now you don't always have to open, most people don't have Adobe Photoshop, but if you do, I'm going to show you some tricks that will help you in the long run. So I'm going to go into Adobe Photoshop. And sorry, but I use nothing but commands. So there's ways to using things other than command. So if I hit C for crop, that turns my icon into a cropping tool. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find me some straight lines. And this one actually came in pretty straight. I was hoping that it would come in crooked, but it didn't. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rotate this image so I can show you a little trick here. One second here, image adjustment, or we'll just go to rotate canvas, and I'm just going to change it 3 degrees. Okay, now so the image came in like this. If you go in here and you see those dotted lines, if you align yourself with lines that you see in the image, so what I'm going to do is try to move around like this, and I'm going to find some horizontal and vertical lines that will allow me to see right here on the left hand side. It's a little crooked, so I'm just going to move it a little bit. Then I go in as close as I can to that line. That usually tells me if I'm pretty straight, which you see those lines there. Look at the bottom. You see how straight that is? Okay, now I'm going to get the least amount of image that I need, because I don't want my file to be real big. So you see, this is part of the drawing that I have. Okay, now, so if I double click here, anywhere where that highlighted area is, if I double click, you're going to see two things. The image is going to get cropped and it's going to get rotated at the same time. So, okay, so now if I wanted to, I could kind of lighten and darken the area. So if I hit Control M, I go into this area here this is my highlighter for the white areas, and I could actually try to, let me see something here if it lets me. Yeah, so I like the way it looks right now. Okay, so right now this is called a grayscale. When you bring this into Xactimate, sometimes it's kind of hard to see the difference between your lines and the lines that you're doing in creating an Xactimate. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. If I go into my mode, turn this into a grayscale first, disregard, just hit OK, disregard, then go into image. This time I want you to hit duotone. Okay, you pick a color that you want. You can click here and select any color that you want. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into just 100% magenta. Okay, so that's a very easy color to look into when you're writing. Now, so when you save this file, you're going to go File, Save As. It has to be a JPEG. Otherwise, it is, and you see you don't have the options right here to save it as a JPEG, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a duotone. Duotones can only be saved to EPSs and a few other kind of files. But if you go back to the image, go to mode. I don't care if you use image mode. I don't care if you use CMYK or RGB. I'm going to use RGB because it's a smaller file. So that means red, blue, green. CMYK means yellow, magenta, cyan. So let's use RGB. Now, since it's an RGB file, I can go File, Save As. Now look at all the options I have. I have a bunch of options now. I do have JPEG right there. So I'm going to click on JPEG. It's saving it to the desktop. Hit Save. And on my other screen, I'm hitting OK. So I no longer, I have another image here that I'm going to use for rooms. So on this one here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open with Adobe Photoshop. And this is just an old version. I use this for little things like that. Actually, that's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to go open with Photoshop. And I scanned this in crooked so you could see the process. So I'm going to use that same process I did earlier. So I'm going to find me some lines that I can align to. And this is not really as bad as it looks. When not, it saves a lot of time when you're trying to draw something and it's all straight and everything. I mean, you save several hours drawing because okay, that's pretty straight there, and that line looks pretty straight there. So I'm gonna move it out a little bit. Then I'm gonna move it out a little bit right there. That gives me all the image there, there, and there. Double click. Now I'm gonna go back to the image. Go to mode, grayscale, disregard, image, mode, RGB, file, save as. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Image, mode, grayscale, image, mode, duotone. Change my color. Image, mode, RGB, file, save as, JPEG, and saving it to the desktop. Save. And on my other screen, I'm hitting OK. Now we're going to go into Xactimate. Okay, so we got our main layer, then we got our second layer. On our second layer, that's going to be your it's going to be your roof layer. Okay, so let's go back to the main layer. On your main layer, you would go in and do your rooms. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go import. It's called import underlay image. Then, I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to pick this one right here is the one that has my rooms. I'm going to hit open. Now watch this. This is going to come up. Sometimes this is kind of small. So if you right click, no, excuse me, if you left click right here, it's going to enlarge it. And not just that, but it gets this thing out of the way. That thing always gets in your way. Now you're going to look, right, you see it right in this area, how it says 50 feet 10 inches. Right here it says 46 10 inches. You can pick anything you want, but just remember, you just pick anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click right here on this left corner, and I've released everything. All I'm doing is moving my mouse, and then I'm going to click right here on this other side where that tick mark is. Now I'm going to put in 50 feet. If I put a comma, the next thing is going to give me is inches. So I hit 10, hit OK, and then I hit OK. Now that's if you have an image that's not straight. So I'm going to show you some tricks, because you're going to get an image, it's not straight, you don't have Photoshop, so you're going to have to do it a different way. Okay, so I'm going to actually, I'm not going to delete this. I'm going to move this. Okay, so purposely, I'm going to go in my tools, okay, and I am going to rotate it, free rotate. So when you're rotating, if you click, you see how it does it in 45-degree angles, like the first one 45. Okay, oh, excuse me. Well, actually, the first one's let me see, 22.5, 45. It goes in 22 degrees at a time. Now, if I hold my shift key, look, I can use any angle I want. So I'm just going to kind of just move it a little bit, so because I want to show you some tricks. Okay, if I wanted to rotate this and I didn't want to mess with it, like in a bunch of different increments, if I click on the image, click on rotate, you see this ortho rotate. I'm going to click here. I'm going to find me a line. I'm going to click. I'm going to hold down my left button, and you see right here, you see how I'm aligning this thing up? I want this line to be straight. So if I click here, and then I'm going to release my left click and then click it again. You see how I rotated it? Now it's a good straight angle. But to verify that, there's a few things that you can do. One of them is hit your S key. Your S key gives you a snap line. You see right here? It's off a little bit. Yeah, it's off a little bit. So you see, that's why it's good to do that. So now we're going to try it again. I'm going to click here. Normally, you usually get it on the first time, but I'm glad it did this so that we can refine it, so you know how to refine something. We're going to go back to this. I'm going to click once. That's why I like Photoshop. Okay, click, release. I'm going to actually enlarge this a little bit so I can see. And now click again. You see it's off a little bit. Now, hopefully, hopefully it'll be good. I hope this don't embarrass me. Okay, so we're going to hit S. And yeah, perfect, actually. Okay, now, so those are a couple of little tricks that I hope that are useful. Because now I'll show you some other little tricks while I'm here. So R is for room. I'm going to click right here. Then I hit Control plus, will enlarge it as big as I like, whatever I have selected. For some reason my there it goes. Okay, so I'm going to line up here and line up right here, and that's 9 feet. So let's see how close that is. And then the bottom one looks, I think the bottom up and down 7 feet 4 inches. So you see, you see how close you can get. Now you're looking at this up here on this side. It doesn't look. It looks thicker, and I'll tell you why. Because the outside borders are actually they're 6-inch borders. So if you click here and then click 6, see how closer it got. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I have turned off right now are my labels and my measurements. Okay, so you can turn those on real easy. You know, you just hit your Shift key L, Shift key M. You know, L for labels, M for numbers. So I'm just going to draw some things. I will draw. And this is not difficult, but the closest thing that is here to difficult. Okay. Now, if I want to move this thing, you see, I can't move it, right? You see that little dot? Well, here, let's put our labels back. With your labels, it's always right there where that little dot is. Okay, but I know where everything's at, so I don't need my labels right now. So I'm just gonna actually I'll just create a new one because I want to show you another little trick. Okay. So I'm going to create a room. This time I'm going to snap here, here, and here. Now, the reason it's real easy to see what we're doing is because the background is not gray. So we can distinguish between the scan and our image. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create this little thing here. And by the way, I hit V for break. I'm gonna click here. I'm just gonna click right here and click right there. Real simple. Now, if you were doing this and the background was image, you probably wouldn't be able to tell how close you are. But if you hit Shift O for outline, now what you're drawing are outlines, and look how close that is. Now, the only thing I have a problem here, you know, I keep on going right here. All I have to do is double click and then just click here and hit 6. Now, when you're drawing, okay, so see, this one on this side is 7.3. This one is a 7.5. Whoever drew this didn't draw it. I'm not going to say perfect, but they use different measurements because this side and this side should be the same. And you see, mine is. That's why mine has 7 feet here, and on this side it don't have none. Now, if it had 2 different sizes, it would put 7 here, and down here it would put 7, or in whatever that is. So now, so let's go in here and change that to 7.3. Okay, 7.3. Okay, so now you see how close that is. So now if you were drawing this room down here, which is the same as this, Control C, Control V, you know, this side here, well, what I can do is I can just flip this thing, flip it. That way, this side is the 6 inch. This side's the 4 inch. Okay, now whenever you draw and stuff, you want to make sure these things are lined up. Okay, now every scan is not going to be perfect. So, you know, you're going to be off a little bit on your drawings because if you scan this image with a iPhone or a camera and you don't have it perfectly horizontal, vertically, sideways, it distorts the photo, but you can still draw to it. So, and to keep you aligned, a couple of things you can do. You can hit your S, which is your snap line. I use a lot of commands, so I unfortunately I don't know if that's good or bad, but so, and if I go in here, I'm just gonna move this, and I'm gonna, you see, the reason I don't like to use this snap line, you see what it's doing? It centers it to the center of the wall. And that I don't like. So now let's go hit Control Z. Now, one thing I could do is, uh, let me delete those lines. Okay, so I can go in again, hit my S, click here, get this one. That's just too much hassle, but snap to it. Now you can go in here, snap. Okay, and then move over to the right and snap. Now those things are lined perfectly. Now I'm going to show you another trick you can do without going through all that hassle, because I had to enlarge it. So watch, I'm going to delete those lines and I'm going to move this a little bit this way, and then because now it's not lined up. So the trick to do this is you can hit create R for room. Just go right here and snap to your first one. Okay, here, let me see something. So oh, the reason it's not letting me do that is because this is off here. Let me move them out of the way a little bit. Okay, so if I go in here and then I snap to that one, now I can just snap. Okay, and then come in here and snap to that. I'm not getting my snap to those. Click this one. Okay, I'm kind of messing up a little bit. When I'm not teaching, it's a lot easier. Okay, so now go in here, snap to the first one, grab this whole thing, snap to that, okay, and then snap to that. And the reason it's so important to do that, because now, after I draw all the outside and the inside, I got to come up with a wall that'll end up all the way perfectly on the other side. Okay, so basically, let me do that real quick. I'm just going to create there's going to be my wall. Now, I'm just going to do this real quick. So I'm not, don't grade me on my accuracy. So I would go here. Here, let me enlarge, break. Okay, so you see how it's giving me that problem? I want to show you a little trick. If you hit your brake tool, that time it didn't do it. But if you see 3 marks, it's not gonna let you move things. So hopefully it'll do it again, so I can show you. Now, okay, it's sooner or later it'll come up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, see when I come here and I go all the way down here, the reason it's not letting me go up there is because this line, these things here are in my way. So they all, I want them to all line up. So I'm gonna see how I'm gonna snap to that. Okay, so now I can move those back in place. You see how they're snapping? Okay, that's why it's important to keep these things all lined up. Oh, let me see if there's any other tricks that I could show you. I'm going to take this wall out, because I don't know, you might not know how to do this, but you see this little angle right here? If I hit my vertex, so I'm going to hit a V, and I click right here, all I got to do is snap this thing right there. Now, I have a bunch of other videos that goes real detailed. This one is really just to show you how you can bring an image in there. But if y'all just look at follow me, look at my videos, you're gonna see how simple it is to draw. This program is very, very, very easy. There's you can draw practically anything. Like, you know, uh, like you see this wall right here, how this goes up there. It's real simple. You just hit Control B, click here. Oh, here it is. Excuse me, I need my vertex here. I thought it was going to make that little mistake. See, all I'm going to do is hit there, hit a vertex, click right here, boom, and then just click right here, and bam. See, simple, simple, simple stuff. But there's other videos that show you a bunch of tricks. Unfortunately, most of my tricks right now are for advanced people, for people that they use commands. Once I do all my hard stuff, I'm going to start backing up and go backwards until I get to the basics, drawing rooms. There's a lot of things that I teach about rooms. For instance, let's say if I have a window and I had a window here, and then so I want to take it off of outline mode. I'm going to hit 3D. You see, if I wanted a window underneath here, well, that would be kind of hard to do it in this mode. So basically, you would click here, or not, excuse me. If I hit 2 for 2D, and I want to see, it doesn't matter which side of the, here, I'll do it from the outside. If I click here, this shows me the inside, this shows me the outside. Either way, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to click there. There's that window, right? So let's say that I wanted another window. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can click here and go to your W for Windows and add a window. Oh, it was, so I'm going to use that way because this line wouldn't allow me to do it. And then I can go in here and change the kind of window. So let's say I wanted it a octagon window. Okay, so let's go to our one view. Okay, 3D, and bam. You see that? there's tons and tons and tons of things that I'm going to be teaching the next few months. So y'all subscribe to me, and there's a lot of little tricks that you can learn. It was nice teaching y'all. If y'all have questions, uh, you can email me right here, HectorMendozaAdjusting@yahoo.com. I also teach, Word, Excel, Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe, Xactimate, Symbility, Settle Assist. There's probably 7 other programs that I know as well as these programs. I teach air conditioning, electrical. I teach plumbing. I I do roofing. If you go to Mendoza and go to Mendoza BBB for Better Business Bureau, you'll see for 23 years I have A plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and in all those 23 years I have never ever had a complaint in any of the construction that I do. But basically I'm an adjuster now, but I still do air conditioning because that's a good paying gig. Anyway, if you've got questions, holler at me. Well, you're going to email me. I enjoyed it.